Hey fellow disasters, just jumping in with a quick content warning. The following episode contains themes of paedophilia, child grooming and sexual assault and might not be suitable for some listeners. If you find this type of content upsetting, then please feel free to skip this episode and listen to one of our lighter ones. That's it from me. Bye!
Bitch.
Hey fellow disasters!
And welcome back to another episode of Really Bitch. I'm Gnomi.
And I'm Wombat.
And this week, we're going to be talking about Millie Bobby Brown.
I feel like most people know who she is, but if you're unfamiliar, Millie Bobby Brown plays 11 on Netflix's wildly successful show Stranger Things, and most recently was in the Sherlock Holmes spin-off Enola Holmes, which is also by Netflix. I guess in terms of what we're going to be talking about, it's the controversy around her.
And this is in no way us trying to be haters or criticizing Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
These things surrounding her or the controversies around her, they're never really what she said. It tends to be troll comments or, people making things out to look like she said things. And we're not about to sit here basically roast a kid when she is incredibly talented and she's such a young woman. Like, it's incredible the things she's already accomplished.
Yeah, we're not about to bash on a 17-year-old girl. Like, the internet does that enough, I think it's mainly the fact that we've seen this happen so many times before with, most recently the documentary around Britney Spears. Framing Britney Spears kind of tackles the whole issue of misogyny within the industry and how the media harassed her for years. And you see it with other stars as well, like Lindsay Lohan, Amanda Bynes, young women who were being projected into the limelight at stardom, into the limelight at such a young age. And having all this attention on you, you are going to reach breaking point, and when they do...
And we want to make it very clear, this isn't just innocent people going up and asking for pictures. These celebrities were hounded relentlessly.
Yeah. And then it's like when something, unfortunate happens, either they're struggling with addiction or... in some cases they have mental breakdowns, and in worse cases, some of these celebrities do end up taking their lives because they can't handle this sort of onslaught of attention and harassment. And when that eventually happens, everyone seems to be scratching their head being like, how did that happen? What happened to so-and-so? And it's like, y'all know exactly what happened, And
sometimes I think we also don't realize just the effect, because we might think, oh, it wasn't that bad, or it wasn't that severe. For example, trolling online or just bombarding their social media, or even if it is like the paparazzi or something bombarding that person. I almost want to say everyone plays a part. If you're going online just thinking you're making a really nonchalant comment, but you don't, it's still a negative thing to do, which, number one, why are you wasting your time? But there are people out there who thrive on that, who thrive on being controversial or making things up. And it does have real life consequences.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not harmless. And I guess this is following most recently. I mean, she's had a very turbulent time with social media. She's deleted various accounts on multiple occasions. But most recently, she posted a video on her Instagram story in tears describing a fan encounter, and I put fan in quotation marks because I don't know, when you're stalking someone and harassing them and continue to film them or take pictures even after they've asked you not to, I think that goes beyond, you know, an innocent
I don't think a fan would do that.
Encounter. Exactly. If you respect the person in question, you wouldn't be doing that sort of shit. Oh, I don't know. She's so young and we've seen this happen before, and yet we seem to just shrug it off. And you're seeing all this attention on Britney at the moment, with people really being part of the Free Britney movement and calling out reporters on their past shitty behavior, basically. And yet
it's the beginning of the cycle.
Yeah.
It's beginning of that repeated behavior that we're seeing, and yet it's like people don't want to admit that, you know, she could end up the same way or she could go through the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, so one thing that is just, for me, it's just so bizarre and absurd, but the homophobic Millie Bobby Brown meme. And
okay.
Yeah. I think we should talk about that.
That was weird. I have no idea who started that or why. It was very, very strange. But that basically came out in 2018. And it actually started because prior to that, people tried to troll, basically like used her images from social media and put homophobic like statements over the top to make it look like as if she said it. These were always like poorly edited together, but that was part of the joke. But before these homophobic memes in 2017, like late 2017, people tried to make it out as if she was anti-Islam.
Yeah,
and
like
that
she was
obviously that didn't
Islamophobic.
stick. So that's why after that they just went for the homophobic memes instead.
Yeah, and it's sort of like spiraled from being just regular trolls kind of trying to create these fake allegations, you know, with very poorly edited pictures, I may say, if I may say so myself. But then also, yeah, it sort of became this meme because at the time she was just on the rise and she was just coming off the back of the success of Stranger Things. She was really young. She had this 14 years old.
14 years old.
And she had, yeah.
And for that to be these trolls were incessantly like bombarding her socials with these kind of things. It was incredible.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, I guess part of the irony, or what they were going for, was that she had this really squeaky clean
like persona and reputation.
Public image, which, you know, because she is fucking 14, like she hasn't had time to make her mistakes and shit or whatever, like. And yeah, and then I think people just found it funny or ironic, you know, to have this really squeaky clean personality and then frame them as this like raging bigot. But then I don't think what people realized is, as it sort of went on and on and on, you might put it out there and by no means actually believe that she is a homophobe or she is a massive bigot or whatever the fuck. But that shit's going to be on the internet forever, and people are going to look back at it, or they might be looking at it now being like, oh, did she? Is she? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and also, what about the effect it actually has on her? Because for you, say this is something you would completely, like, the furthest thing away from. I mean, she's built this image that she is sweet, she is nice, you know, she was just a kid back in the day, like, she still is in some ways. Well, I'd say most ways, because she's only 17. She's just recently turned 17. And I don't know, I can't imagine someone or a ton of people going online saying stuff about me like that. Like, because whatever you say, it's either you're feeding into the troll or you're just not acknowledging it, and people are going to think the worst of you for that.
Yeah, start questioning.
There's no win.
Exactly. Start questioning your behavior. And I was going to say there's like a really good article which we'll link down in the description for this episode, from Vox. And it kind of goes into the repercussions of internet trolling, and especially in this incident, like how no one actually legitimately, or at least I don't think, believes that Millie Bobby Brown is a raging homophobe that wants to run over gays in her car. Like,
it's so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
It is out there.
But at the same time, whilst it's so absurd, and that's why you think, oh, it's harmless because it's so fucking crazy. At the same time, this shit is out there now, and like you said, it leaves room for people to question it. And how do you really go about it when these sort of allegations or whatever comes about? How do you actually like turn around and be like, how do you react to that? Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, I would probably react the same as she did, by deleting social media, because I wouldn't want to be associated with it. So in my eyes, I think she did the right thing, really.
Yeah.
Because you need to take your mental health into consideration. You need to take into consideration your own reality and how that makes you feel.
Also, the fact that she was 14 when all of this was happening.
14.
And I'm just like what drives you to put out this kind of content and target a 14-year-old girl who's done nothing?
I don't know. Maybe it's other kids. Like, we don't know. Like, everyone can hide behind a computer screen. It's easy.
Yeah. It's so stupid to me. It's really sad as well, because I can't imagine. She was for at least the longest time the main female star of that show, right? Like the main, she's like the main female star out of the kids cast, basically. And so she's already getting a lot of attention purely because of that. And you don't see that level of like, people don't really follow Finn Wolfhard. I mean, they do. And they also do get creepy, unsolicited comments online as well, but not to the extent that Millie Bobby Brown has. And it's just sad to see as well, because I don't know. I just don't rate that kind of shit, man. It just makes me so angry.
Yeah. It makes you feel grossed out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to the whole homophobic memes as well, in that Vox article that you mentioned, they actually, towards the end of it, they actually say something I think is actually a really good point. So they mentioned that, okay, so repeatedly engaging with this kind of humor, or whatever you want to call it, like you said, it can make people believe or like start to think it's a possibility, or that it's true.
Yeah.
And an example they gave was, everyone loves Pepe the Frog, right? You know that meme?
Yep.
Classic, right? Yeah, so a joke about a frog that is awkward and whatever. And then it slowly became a meme that represented a frog being ironically anti-Semitic, which eventually became a mascot for alt-right groups.
Fucking crazy.
So
how that just like spiraled.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really
it's
good
insane
example,
because I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
And it's just a meme. It is meant to be so ridiculous, so out there that the average person isn't going to think it's real, but people who have ulterior motives, like alt-right groups, they are going to take things to make them seem more palatable,
to align with their views and make them more like culturally relevant or whatever. And also in that same article, another example that they mentioned was flat earthers, and how, I mean, there are people who genuinely believe in this shit, but like initially, before it kind of really took off and had a resurgence in like our current culture, it was sort of thrown around as a joke, right? It was like, again, this ironic sense of humor that people were just putting it out there. And now we're seeing this spike in people actually believing in fucking flat earth theories. Like, my guy, please stop.
Please.
Who was that guy? Who was the, oh my God, I'm going to sound like such an idiot right now, but who was the guy? Who was the guy that, it was I want to say Galileo, but it's not. The guy with the apple who basically was persecuted for insinuating that the world is round.
Yeah, I'm not gonna know this dude's name.
It's not Galileo. I don't know why I'm like Galileo. It's not.
Don't worry, I know what you mean. We get what you mean.
You know what I mean. Yeah, that guy. Like, he's probably turning around in his grave and he's like, not again. I don't know. Damn thy meme. But yeah,
No, yeah, I just think, okay, so that sort of stuff. Look, memes. I love memes. I think they're hilarious. So ridiculous memes that I like stupid stuff. You know, stupid memes that are just dumb because there's like an edited picture of like a sad dog or something. I think that's funny. I think that's great.
Yeah.
But I don't think bombarding one particular person in a mass scale is gonna be helpful in any way. I don't even know what the aim was. Like, what was the reason?
Well, it was part of, let me just get this right. Let me fact check it.
Oh, was it the hashtag?
Part of this, yeah, it was part of this wider hashtag called like Take Down Millie Bobby Brown.
Why? What has she ever done?
14. Like, what the fuck? She was 14 at the time. Like, why would you want to, I don't know. When there were these are probably like grown-up people. Shit.
Yeah, these are probably adults. Like, criticizing a child.
Do you know what I mean? Like, also, it's like when there are people who genuinely deserve to be deplatformed and you are wasting all your energy and time targeting a fucking child, you need to sort your priorities, mate. Like, honestly.
I don't know. Put more effort into your career?
Yeah. You know, also, so like, what I noticed, right? So I remember in my old office, the question of Millie Bobby Brown just came up randomly. And someone was like, oh, I don't like her for some reason and I don't know why. And I was like, oh, what? Oh. And I was like, oh, why?
A man or a woman?
A woman. And they were like, oh, I just feel like she tries to be a lot older than she is.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, interesting. And I remember like we were talking about it and then her Instagram came up. And if you look at her Instagram, she does look a lot older than she actually is. So we mentioned she's currently 17, but
recently turned 17.
Turned 17. I remember I was watching with the Enola Holmes movie. I was like really obsessed with it because I really liked side note, I really liked Sam Claflin as Mycroft. Okay, I thought he was great. He was like stand out in the movie. And so I was watching all these like Netflix interview like press junket stuff because I'm lame.
Of course you were.
Of course I was. And I was watching it and it was like Henry Cavill, Sam Claflin and Millie Bobby Brown. And my mum was there and my mum was like, she looks so old. And I was like, she's like 16. And my mum was like, no, she's not. No, she's not. She must be 30. And I'm like,
oh, whoa.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you look at her styling and if you look at the way they do her makeup, she does look, I mean, I do think it is intentional to some extent.
Yeah, I think it's intentional.
She looks way older than she actually is. And if you compare her to how she looks like in Enola Holmes or even in Stranger Things.
She actually looks like a kid. Because that's like what she's acting as. She's a kid, yeah.
She looks her age. Like in Enola Holmes, even when she's wearing the more lavish dresses, she still looks young. Like you can tell she's got that baby face still.
And it's really weird because when she's not on set, it's like she is aged up. And this isn't to criticize her because she isn't in charge of her own wardrobe. let's be realistic. She's a celebrity. She probably has a stylist. I mean, we know she has a stylist. She also has makeup artists at her disposal. She is basically a name attached to a brand.
Yeah.
So she needs to be marketable. And that's what the aim is, to make her marketable. So yeah,
But that's what I find fucking gross.
Yeah.
It's they're trying to upmarket her for older audiences by making her look more mature than she actually is. And it's like, look, when we say this all the time, 15-year-olds nowadays don't look like fucking 15-year-olds. When we were 15, my guy,
I was so clapped.
And it's like, y'all need to have an ugly phase, okay? You cannot
That's because it's to do with rape culture and pedophile culture as well.
Oh, God, yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm not going to sit here and blame kids for wanting to look a certain way.
By no means am I blaming those young girls who do want to look like, they want to get the Insta baddie look, you know, because it's what's desirable. It's what mainstream culture is perpetuating to be desirable, right? And it's like, when we were 15, we didn't have that to that extent. I mean, we did have it, but it's social media. It wasn't so instantaneous.
I mean, we grew up, we were born in an age and grew up where, you know, I know what a floppy disk is. So
we grew up in the fucking Bebo era, man. Like in the Bebo MySpace era.
Yeah.
And I mean, if anyone had a MySpace or a Bebo, like none of them pictures look good. That it was literally a bunch of side swept fringes and like fucking those just, high angle selfies. Cringy. It was so clapped, man. But then you put it into the wider context of young girls in general wanting to sort of age up and look a lot older than they are because of what is being told to them. And you're like, yeah, so it makes sense that she would be like, you know, if she, you know, in her everyday life wants to dress up like that, it makes sense because it ties into the wider, like you said, pedophile and rape culture in our society.
This isn't a new conversation about rape culture. Like this, you know, we can't add anything more that hasn't already been said. And if talking about Millie Bobby Brown is uncomfortable or because she looks a certain way or looks a certain age now, there's probably a reason for that.
I had a friend of mine, again, within that same conversation at my old workplace, and he piped up and was like, I'm not going to lie, I had to unfollow her on Instagram because it made me feel very uncomfortable.
Oh.
Because a lot of her pictures are quite... Yeah, it's just uncomfortable. And you have a right to be uncomfortable because she is, at the time, she's an underage girl that is being dolled up to look way older than she actually is.
Yeah. And I'm not about to sit here and be like, oh, she can't dress how she wants or whatever. Like I said, she probably doesn't have control over her wardrobe. So she isn't going to be making these fashion faux pas as we would when we were kids. You know, we would wear the most horrendous things that didn't go together, didn't match.
Oh my God. As you said that, I just I had like a memory just like literally penetrate my mind. Like year 7, I remember when we were doing, you know, like the first day of school or whatever, and you can wear whatever you want.
Right.
I thought I looked so fly in this outfit, yeah? I had on a Tatty Teddy hoodie, right? And if y'all don't know who Tatty Teddy is, that was like, I don't know what the obsession with Tatty Teddy was, but everybody go to Clinton's. I mean, Clinton's is closed now, isn't it?
Yeah.
That card store.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically the
grey teddy with stitches and patches.
Yeah, he was like the face of Clinton's being a gift card store. And I was obsessed. I had a Tatty Teddy hoodie, and then I had pink joggers on and pink trainers.
Oh wow, what a serve. What a serve.
What girl, innit? it's it's mad to me that I wasn't getting getting any numbers back then or any attention. It's a mystery to me, when I was serving them kind of looks.
Wow.
But I really needed a stylist. But so on that note, D'Angelo Wallace does a really good video on this, and in his video specifically looks at this one red carpet look that she wore. At the time she was 15, and it was for the SAG Awards, so the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And she's wearing this like custom made Louis Vuitton dress with a low plunging neckline to accentuate her boobs.
Oh my god.
Her boobs. And her makeup is like very
Caked
heavy.
on,
it's
yeah.
caked on there, yeah. And it obviously sparked a lot of controversy online with people, which what I thought was good was that a lot of the comments that were calling this out were not directed at her. It was directed at her stylist. Yeah, just general management team. And people were basically saying like her stylists need to be fired because she is 15 and the girl looks 31.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't know why look, I understand wanting to look maybe a bit more put together, a bit more mature for your age or whatever, but to have such a big jump from 15 to 30 years old, her stylists went to, what was it, Louis Vuitton, and asked for a custom-made dress
and
that fit her in a certain way.
Let's name and shame where we can. Her stylist, Thomas Carter Phillips.
Yes. Good. Put him on blast, honey.
Put her on blast. Thomas Carter Phillips, I say it again, went to Louis Vuitton and had this dress custom made for her to make her look like a 31-year-old woman. And
also, does she even have a say? And she probably, said, oh, I want this color, or I like these kind of dresses, and showed him pictures maybe. But at the end of the day, he obviously was the one who sorted it.
I don't think they do. I don't really think they do, because I think they get, I think, roundabouts their style, I guess, but it's, I don't think they do, to be honest. But what I was going to say is that when you compare her to the rest of the cast, and that's not to say that her cast don't look dapper, like they do.
Oh, they look very dapper. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
all
they
well
look
dressed.
smart, but they look like kids, And I guess, it's a little bit hard as well because men do tend to go through puberty a lot later, or at least visibly tend to go through puberty a lot later than women, And when women start to develop, it's a lot more obvious.
Yeah.
So I to an extent, I can see why they'd look a little less older compared to her. But also, she has got other female stars. And the other one I was thinking of is Sadie Sink. Yeah, she plays Max on Stranger Things, and she still looks quite childlike. I would say she still looks relatively her age, and I mean, not that they don't try to age this girl up, but not that they don't.
She does look younger than Millie, though.
She does look younger. I don't know, maybe it's because she's actually older than Millie, but she's 18, but some people do tend to look a lot more mature than others, which, yeah, sure, I get that. But from 15 to 31, I don't think so, honey. I don't think so. I don't think you can say it's because she looks a little bit more mature than her co-stars. No, you made her look that way.
It's funny as well, because when I started looking into the whole, that dress and why, apparently loads of people online were saying the same thing. They were kind of like, oh, this is a bit uncomfortable. She looks really old. Like, like you said, people were basically asking for her stylist team to be fired. She actually went online on one of her socials, and I think it was on Instagram. She used the like guess your age filter, and because people were saying she looked 50, or really exaggerating it, and she ended up getting 28, and she was like, well, look guys, I'm not 50, I look 28. And I have to applaud her wittiness, because at least she's sort of taken it on the chin.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's still quite, she was probably really happy with the way she looked. She probably was really like happy with the way the dress looked, and to sort of just get backlash like that, it is kind of shit.
Yeah. And again, it is not her fault, and it's her stylists that really need to take a step back and realize who their client is. Obviously when she's on a editorial shoot, they always credit the stylist. And so looking through all of those articles, any cover shoots, anything like that, she looks significantly older than she does when she's like on, Stranger Things, or even just like regular, on her Instagram,
like when she's just doing random like videos and stories.
Exactly.
And stuff.
But when it's like, when it comes to press junkets, when it comes to media focused events, she looks way older. And
I'm sorry, but that's obviously that's a repeat pattern. You can't just say that, oh, it was just this one time, or oh, it's they probably don't realize they're doing it. The team definitely know what they're perpetuating.
And like, even when these stars aren't looking for that kind of attention, or are not being dressed up for that kind of attention, for that purpose, they are still being sexualized. And this made me like feel a little bit sick. So when she was 13,
Millie Bobby Brown,
when she was 13, she was listed in a lineup of actors making television sexier than ever.
Excuse me?
That's fucking gross. That is fucking disgusting.
13. She's not making TV sexy. She's acting like a kid on Stranger Things. Like, that's not sexy.
So this is quoted from Teen Vogue. It says, "It's all the ways the media finds to profit off of young women's bodies, to exploit them, to devote entire think pieces and celebrity profiles to them before they turn around and condemn them for their sexuality, lifestyle, and sometimes for just being a woman in the first place."
100% true. 100% true.
And I think this is why we wanted to bring up the Millie Bobby Brown thing, because as we said early on, this is already happening. We're already starting to see these motions in action, right? We've seen it before. I will say it again. People like
Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Britney Spears is like the biggest one, because she's really being talked about a lot recently as well. And, I haven't seen that documentary about Britney, but I have, watched YouTubers talk about it and what was included in that documentary. And even like hearing and seeing a second opinion of it and not actually seeing the primary source made me uncomfortable, because of the things that people were saying about Britney when she was really young, and when she did grow up and start, well, I want to say become more independent, but even then she hasn't been able to do that because she doesn't have control over her finances, or even to this day she is a fully grown mother and she doesn't have control of her own estate. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And you see, and it just makes it even more gross knowing that she, for the longest time, didn't have control over a lot of these decisions. So knowing that she was sexualized at such a young age, and that could have is most likely at the hands of somebody else and a team, and also maybe her family, is just so disgusting and so sad.
I mean, look, she's probably, obviously we don't know her personally, we don't know her life story, whatever. So I can't sit here and be like, oh, she has such a terrible life. I mean, she is very well off. She's probably in a mansion. But I'm also not going to sit here and say that she's had it all peachy, because she did have a very public breakdown. And she shot to stardom. Everyone loved her, and then everyone hated her.
But this is the thing. This is why when I read that quote, when I read that piece, and that quote in particular really stood out to me, is you see it time and time again. They put you on this pedestal and they absolutely adore you. You know, you have all this love and attention at such a young age. And then all of a sudden, they turn on you.
You're like demonized.
Absolutely villainized.
Why?
Like, you look at people like Lindsay Lohan is a really good example as well, because she also went through a very public breakdown of a different sort, because she was dealing with addiction. She was dealing with a lot of her lawsuits were in the public eye. It was publicized. There was so much media attention around her. And you got to remember, she started off on Disney, then became like this teenage sweetheart that everybody loved. And and then everyone they started to upsell her. They wanted to make her sexier because she was coming to that age, which makes me really gross. And then when she started to have these issues and she was dealing with something that is really hard to come out from, everyone just turned on her, and she was just a joke, and continues
even when she was in recovery, when she was trying her best to sort out her addiction and to sort out her issues, people were treating it as a joke.
I mean, fuck you, David Letterman. Like, there's this late night talk show host called Craig Ferguson. This clip has recently resurfaced where he's talking about the Britney situation in one of his in opening monologues, right, for the show.
Right.
And this is when Britney was going through her very public breakdown, and it was sort of being played for laughs, and there were people just constantly put these pictures up on tabloids and like gossip websites, that sort of stuff. And he's basically like, I know people want to hear Britney jokes and expect Britney jokes because it's what everyone's been doing for so long, but I'm kind of going to stop because she's a mother and she's clearly going through such a difficult time, and it's so horrible that people are doing this. And you mentioned another star who is kind of she's less well known, and I've only known about her because somebody did an impression of her on Drag Race, so I have no idea who she was prior to this, but I think she was kind of a similar star at the time. Anna Nicole Smith, who also dealt with addiction, I think. She ended up passing away. And he basically made this point. He's like, everyone used to make fun out of her, and then she died. And it's like, we need to hold ourselves accountable for this shit, because
100%. But that's the thing, like, obviously these celebrities, they have a lot of money, they're super popular, and they know they have fans. I'm sure they're really, really happy to have fans, and they appreciate all of them, because or else without them, they wouldn't be where they are. But at the same time, you're going to get people who take it way too far. Like, what are you doing in your day-to-day life that gives you all this free time to bash on kids? Like, it's weird. I don't know. It's just really weird. Get a job. Like, people take it too far.
Yeah, I think there's so many components that play a part, though, because it's like there's the people who take 100%. It too far, but then there's also the industry that caters towards that behavior and panders towards
because they want more money.
Yeah, they know that these types of fans exist. They know that there are people who are willing to spend so much money, so much time, so much energy on their their stars, on their whatever, their talent, their films, blah blah blah. And so they will rinse that out, and they don't care that their acts might be put in, you know, potentially dangerous situations or whatnot. They will do it anyways because they're profiting off of that. And it's so fucking sad. Like, I just, you know, I look at people like Millie Bobby Brown, and when I was younger, I would have loved to have been like super famous when I was really young. You know, I really wanted that.
I think it would have been the death of me.
Oh, girl, same, 100%.
I don't think I could handle that. Not even at my age now, I 100% would not want that.
I think
like, it's not something I've ever...
Yeah, it's something that I used to really want. Like, I was like, oh my God, yes, I want to be at the Oscars, and I want to be on Graham Norton. Do I sometimes talk to myself and pretend I'm on a late night talk show for my latest film? Yes, I do sometimes, and it makes me feel good. But also, it's like,
it's scary.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. Knowing that there are people who want that and are looking for that because it's going to make their headlines juicier is like terrifying.
Yeah, like anything you do is scrutinized. Like, bringing it back to Millie, you know, when she shot into stardom, she was like just turning into a teenager. It makes me uncomfortable, and I don't think it's right to sort of put a kid on a pedestal and then completely rip her to shreds the next minute. I mean, I know that there's going to be people listening being like, oh, cry me a river, they have so much money and like, you know, they can't deal with normal problems like normal people do. Look, at the end of the day, these are still people with real feelings, and these are really young people who start off in this business and they have a real roller coaster of a career. And when, you know, God forbid, but something bad happens or they pass away,
nobody is willing to really take responsibility or step back and be like, why do you think this keeps on happening? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, hello, this is a perpetual cycle. Let's maybe not do that.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope, yeah, we'll see this. It will spark some sort of, I don't know, a greater sense of attention and empathy for these people and situations. And hopefully Millie Bobby Brown will be surrounded by people who will look out for her and ensure that this doesn't happen to her. And
yeah, I mean, it's the best we can hope for, really.
Yeah. And on that note,
I hope it's been interesting and that maybe it sparked up something you didn't realize, or just even seeing but never really knew how to word it.
Yeah, that was another episode. I really hope you enjoyed it, and join us next week and listen to what has us saying really bitch.
All right.
Bye.
Bitch.
Nice.